Welcome, welcome everyone to our pre-summit event for the More Abundant Entrepreneur Summit. That may have been two summits, but that's okay. Some people are like, Tiffany, what are we doing in this pre-summit event? And a couple of things that are going to be on the agenda, though before I do that, I just want to say thanks for being a part. Our mission with the More Abundant Entrepreneurs is to provide entrepreneurs access to people, community, and knowledge to help them have a more money, more time, and more fun. And so hopefully at the summit, we are going to be doing all of that. Here today in the next hour, we're going to give you an overview of the summit schedule. We're going to talk a little bit about creating your vision. We're going to discuss a little bit about what to say during speed networking, as we will have a couple opportunities for networking. Q&A, though, if you have Q&A along the way, if you want to put them into the Q&A here on Zoom, you can do that. And I may answer it along the way, or I may save it till that section. For those of you watching on Facebook, here's the thing. Put your questions there. I won't see them though, because you're not here with us on Zoom. Put your questions out there on Facebook, and I'll make sure that I pop onto Facebook today and answer them if you see them. I'm going to also share a few tips for Zooming all day, but how many of you have Zoomed quite a bit over the past couple of years? And so I will ask for some of your tips as we go through this. So be thinking, do you have some tips on how to make the most of Zooming? I know all day is quite a bit, though we will have breaks every 90 minutes. So we'll talk about that too. And then anything else that you want to cover. And so it's my intention, we are going to be sharing this. We're going to go through. We do have a few of our speakers here today. So as we get to their section, we may hear 30 or 60 seconds from them on what they are going to share. Yes, this is going to be recorded. I will kind of have it piecemeal. So I'm happy to share that with y'all after the fact in case you have people that might be interested in joining us. Can y'all see the screen okay? All right, because I just got some big black box in the middle of my screen and I have no idea what that is. Oh, the joys, at least it's today and not next week. We will figure out what that little box is. All right, so as I mentioned, the summit, this is going to be an all-day program. And the intention is just to make sure people have as much as possible. Now, some folks that are coming in from Australia, from Asia, they probably aren't going to be at the later events of the day. The people coming in from California and Hawaii may not be at the earlier events of the day. We will kind of see how it goes. But people can pop in and pop out as they wish. Though we are going to run things in 90-minute segments. And each segment has a theme. So for our very first segment, we are going to have manifesting abundance, transcending from the past for a fantastic future. So for this segment, we're going to start in the past. And Beth Ruck and Shiraz are actually going to be helping us with, what's in the past. So Beth, do you want to tell us, 30, 60 seconds about what you are sharing with us if you want? And then after you share for the speakers, y'all are welcome to drop your information into the chat.
Hello. So I'm going to be talking about how a lot of times we hang on to stuff that we've used in past hobbies and we don't let go of them, and how that can drag us down. So I'm going to just talk about letting go of that and giving yourself some freedom.
Gotcha. How many of you have a little bit of that hobby paraphernalia that you are no longer using? That's kind of sitting in a closet or in a corner in the garage or taking up 2 or 3 bedrooms. All right. So she's going to talk to us a little bit about that. Love it. Love it. So we're going to talk about kind of decluttering what we have in our world, in our space. And then Shiraz, you want to tell us really quickly a little bit about what you're going to be sharing during the summit?
I'm going to be showing people how they are probably unconsciously and physically addicted to struggle and how to get out of that.
Will we feel better afterwards?
Absolutely.
Now, I don't know, and you, yes or no, either one's fine. Are you going to be doing a hot seat during your session this time, or just giving us a little information?
I'll have, 20 minutes?
I think 20 or 25 minutes.
It'll be tight. I might have chat.
Okay. All right. Maybe we'll see if we can carve out a few extra minutes to let you. But if not, we'll tell you about some amazing events Shiraz has coming up. He actually has. What is your gift for the the all access people, your workshop?
I have a 3-hour workshop called Refuel Your Ambitions, and it's where we look at where life has hit you and lowered your ambitions. Because remember when we're kids, we're like, I want to be a rocket, astronaut or a rock star. And then it's like, I just want to pay the bills. That's my goals now. We want to get your ambitions way up there again. So
Love it. Love it. Yeah. How many of us have gone through that period in our life, or maybe we're still there? You don't have to disclose which, where it was like, yes, it was really ambitious. And now it's just like, can I pay the mortgage? Can I put food on the table? Can I cover whatever it needs to be covered? So super excited to have you two with us for this event as we are going to talk about the past. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Shiraz.
thank you.
Then we are going to move. Anita's going to give us a couple of ways to focus on being present. I mean, how many of you have heard people talk about just be present, just be present? But how am I supposed to just be present when I'm worried about the past, worried about the future? So she's going to walk us through how to be present, including 2 exercises that we're going to do live to help us stay focused. Dr. Meisner is going to share with us a quick little tip on how to be successful. And then moving towards the future, Conway is going to be talking to us. How many of us have heard of the law of attraction? Probably most of us. And it's like, yes, I want this stuff in the world. However, with all those worries and frustrations, sometimes we're actually attracting that stuff back into our life. So he's going to talk to us about how can we really be attracting what it is that we want. Now, that's going to wrap up our 90-minute session. Though you might be thinking, Tiffany, you said 90 minutes. How in the world are we going to do that? And where's our break? So each section will end with 10, 15, 20-minute break. That's my intention. So if you're like, okay, when is the break coming? It's at the end of each section. So we're going to start off with our, manifesting abundance. Then we're going to move to our Ascentive VIP section. So Ascentive is a worldwide organization that focuses on helping entrepreneurs have a more abundance in their business, with the amazing business and their spectacular life. I'm going to have a fun little exercise to think about who are your best referral sources. So maybe a little bit of thinking you want to do over the next week is, what are the names, not companies, not professions, not organizations, what are the names of my top 12 referral sources? And we're going to talk about that more when we are in the summit. Now, Jason, I'm not sure if you're driving still or if you're at a stop point, because we can always come back to you if you're out on the road. We don't want to get you in trouble.
I'm okay. I'm looking forward to the summit, and I can't wait to share with you how your behavior is affecting your referability with others. There's a way we're wired the way that we're wired, and most of us were raised on that golden rule. We treat people the way that we want to be treated, but that'd be treating them the way that we're wired. And if they're wired differently, we're not serving those people well. So we're going to teach about the platinum rule that day, and how you can identify behavioral styles in people, then you can adapt just a little bit so that you become more relatable and ultimately more referable.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Jason. So he'll be sharing that segment with us. And then Tom Fleming is going to host us in a mini mastermind session. Now, what that means is typically when we do masterminds in the Ascentive world, everybody gets to ask a question, and then we take 8 or 10 minutes to brainstorm the answers. However, last I checked, we had 96 people enrolled. And if all 96 people asked a question, we would be there for a really long time. So no, what we've done is we've asked our all access pass holders what questions that they want to ask. And we do have a poll going on. So if you have a vested interest, if you head over, I'm going to put my Facebook group link. I know many of you are already in that Facebook group, but I just put the link in there. If you want to, you can go there and vote for which questions you want. And so what we'll do is we'll have a predetermined set of questions, 4 or 5 questions, and then you can pick which breakout you want to go in where people will be brainstorming that answer. Now, at that section, when we go to break, we will be taking a break, or you have the option to attend an additional mastermind group. So it's kind of up to each person. Some people are like, I'd rather spend 10 minutes masterminding another question. Some people are like, I need to stand up and take a break. So it's a personal preference here. What you're going to do is we wrap up our second section, our amazing business and spectacular life. Again, as we're going through this, if you have any questions, you can pop them in the Q&A or in the chat, and we will get to them today. All right, next section, we are going to tackle technology. Do we love it? Do we hate it? And so Michael, Sean Yesner is actually going to kick us off with 5 technology tips to save us money. So we're just going to get, let's get a little bit of money going on. And then Michael Whitehouse is going to talk to us a little bit about your friendly robot helper. Will this be what helps us? Then, as I know technology isn't for everyone, Anita's going to help us get back centered with another being present exercise. So that's going to help us out. And then Gina and Terry are going to come on board and talking about leveraging AI. Now, I know I've seen Gina pop in and out. So Gina, I know it looks like you're like, let me find the right camera, the right computer. Do you want to just give us a 30 or 60 second overview of what you and Terry are going to be talking to us a little bit about?
Yes, I sure will. And yes, I'm experimenting with different camera angles here. But what we're going to talk about is how we can use AI in our businesses to make our lives better, to automate processes that we've been doing, to improve our communications, especially to improve our brand building. As business owners, it's important for people to understand what our business does, and whether that's you as the person or your product or service, you want to be real clear in the communication. And what we found is that using AI, you can rapidly improve that communication to get the word out to people. And we're going to be focusing on real practical ways that you can do that.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Super excited. I go to an event. Gina and her partner Terry host Stark Raving Entrepreneurs at 4 p.m. on Wednesday afternoons. And I don't know that I would even know I probably would know, but I wouldn't know how to use ChatGPT the way I do without Gina and Terry. So I'm excited to have them sharing with you some of their tips, tricks, and techniques. So thank you, Gina. Super excited to have y'all with us.
Thank you.
Ariel, you will be up next talking a little bit about how to enhance yourself as a master connector. Hey, again, y'all that have already shared what you're speaking, if you want to put your info in the chat box in case people want to check you out, go connect with you on LinkedIn before that. But Ariel, you want to share with us 30, 60 seconds about what you're going to be talking about after you unmute yourself?
Yes, I always forgot I enter muted in a meeting. Well, many of us are from BNI. I don't know if all of you, but I recognize many people here from BNI. And in BNI, we want to provide referrals to our to other members of the network. And we can use AI tools, different kind of AI tools, to enhance our giving of referrals to other partners. For example, how many people have you been talking in the last 12 months, having one-to-ones? Of those conversations you had, how many of that do you remember? Do you remember something that you talked about last January? I guess it is very, very difficult. Well, but if you enhance your processes using, for example, virtual assistants, you can remember everything in a glance, just asking to a database of all your conversations. And that is what I'm going to show just for the beginning.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, sometimes people think AI is going to kill your relationships. Ariel's going to talk about how using AI to enhance your relationships. Because I bet you Jason will agree with me because I know Jason pretty well. I do not remember like my one-to-ones from last month, yet alone last January for the most part. So it's using those notes, using the details, having that conversation definitely helps. Jason, are you going to unmute and say, yes, you agree with me? No, he's not unmuted. He just nodded his head.
Yes, I agree with you. I never can remember the one-to-one that happened at a Panera Bread over a bagel and a cup of coffee. But I can tell you about the time I was with the architect and he hit the hole-in-one on hole 14, Southern Hills while golfing. And so I've learned to take that amazing business, spectacular life, and intertwine them, do them at the same time. Have a little fun while you're.
So Ariel's going to help us with ways to keep that in mind. So excellent. Glad to have you joining us for that, Ariel. And then we're going to wrap up this section with what not to do when using AI to write for your business. Okay. Can I just vent for a moment? I don't typically like to vent, if you're going to use AI to create your content, I get it. I almost run everything through it, usually just to check spelling and grammar. But could you at least not like cut and paste where we tell it came straight from AI? Lorena, are you right there with me? Unmute yourself. What's going through your head? I mean, because you look like you're as frustrated with that as I am.
It's because when you ask for the copywriter to write something, not on AI, but you do it on like, and then you go to the AI and you see how many, I mean, different apps that they do it. And then they just paste it. It's like, just give it your personal touch. Because it's like, it's so like, I can't connect to that as much until the AI understands and learns from you. And that they'll come a relationship to back and forth.
Yeah.
But yes. Just give it a personal touch.
Okay, I'm glad it's not just me. And I've like given my AI my whole book and said, learn my writing style. And I still don't feel like it sounds as much like me.
No, you still have to make corrections.
Yeah, and at least paste with plain text. So we don't see the background color. I know the new one doesn't. Sorry. Whew. So we're going to have some tech time. Yay. And then we'll take us a little bit of break. And then we're going to move into a different kind of section. And this is going to be, so we have at the best 60 minutes of networking, though it is going to go a little bit longer. Tom Fleming and I are working on crafting a new and fun networking type thing for 2024. And so we're going to try it out with y'all. So it is a little bit longer. And what we're going to do is a couple of things. We're going to do group introductions. Now, our More Abundant Entrepreneur community members, our Referrals for Life community members, our all access pass holders, they're going to get a little bit longer in front of everybody in the group to share who they are and what they do. And then everybody will have a chance for quicker introductions because we wanted to give the opportunity for us to see everybody that's in the room. Additionally, we're going to do 2 breakout sections with a possible third on the break, again, depending on what your preference is. And we're going to go, everybody's going to have about a minute or so to share who they are and what they do. And in just a moment, I'll actually share a couple of tips on what to share during that time frame. So we'll have 2 or 3 breakouts where you get to connect with half a dozen people at a time. And then we'll also have group introductions. Now, as we're doing this, because there's going to be a lot coming to you quickly, JF is going to help us out. Jean Francois is going to help us out with a little bit of active rest. What is that all about? You can unmute yourself and share, please, JF.
Yeah, everyone, I'm JF from Montreal, Canada. So active rest, including some standing activation movement and a stretch, maybe about 2 minutes. And this will make you feel better and boost your energy a bit. So that's it, yeah.
We're super excited to have him get us moving because I know it's a long day on Zoom. I mean, we could all come to Florida, but that might be easier for some of you than others. For Jackie and Jason, you're like, Florida totally works, but maybe in between. We'd have to be crossing some international borders for Ariel and Shiraz and JF. So this will be our networking. So we'll do some networking and a little bit of active rest. Now, our last section of content as it is going to be our marketing mastery. And we're going to talk a little bit about, is your brand boring? And most of you, your brand might be a little boring. So we're going to see, is your brand boring or not? How can we spice it up a little bit? I think too often entrepreneurs are just like, I want to be the best and the expert. But how memorable is that? Like, why do I have 400 pairs of socks and I wear them on stage? So we're going to talk about that. What's unique about you? How do you stand out? How are you memorable? Matt is going to help us out with taking a look at our logo. Tom Fleming's going to talk to us a little bit about marketing for more referrals. So how can you utilize your referral marketing plan? Now, Melinda's going to be joining us, though she's not talking about marketing. She is going to be helping us at our desk, kind of make sure the juices are flowing. When she joined us for the More Abundant Entrepreneur show 2 months ago, she actually gave us some really amazing exercises we can do with our hands and stress balls. And so maybe I'll send out that as a reminder when I share this video link. So she's going to be sharing with us some techniques to help us while we're sitting here at the desk. So we've got something in almost every section that's beyond just the learning, because we want you to be able to make it through the day. Jennifer Darling is going to come in. And if I didn't get anybody that is here that's a speaker, I don't see you on my screen. So if you turn your camera on or ding me, let me know, because I just have it where I'm seeing the people that are on camera. So if you're here, any of you, just let me know. And then Jill Kinney is going to help us with our top 5 website design mistakes to avoid. Because if you think about a website, the goal is click and have people buy, right? But how many people, when they're clicked, something's going wrong and they're going bye-bye? So she's going to explore a couple of those tips. Thanks for the 3 of you that laughed at my punniness. I so appreciate it. And then after our break, our last section, this is going to be our open networking kind of time. My husband and I have an event that we used to do in person called Brewing Up Business, where we would visit a local brewery and do some networking. I have roped him into coming, so he will be co-hosting this last hour with me. He's going to share a few of his tips. Like, I'm business networking and let me go do it. He has got to be one of the most natural networkers that I have ever met. If any of you have ever read the book called Truth or Delusion by Dr. Meisner and Mike Macedonio, one of the is it truth or is it a delusion is you can network anytime, anywhere, even at a funeral. And it's true. And I kind of was like, yeah, whatever. However, the time my husband came home from a wake with an order for his business, I was like, are you kidding me? And he is the least salesy person. He's the least pushy person. He's just charismatic and everybody loves him. So he's going to share some of his tips for how do you network at the park, at the bar. And then we'll do some open Q&A, having some fun, optional breakout rooms. The goal is just kind of abundance unwind. Last year, not a lot of people stayed for the after party. It is optional. I will have me a drink at 4:01, or if he brings it to me at 3:59 before we get started. It's kind of just an informal way to wrap up the day. And so that is kind of an overall view of the summit. Now, if you have any questions, put them in the chat or in the Q&A. Though you might be thinking, holy wow, Tiffany, that is a lot of stuff you're cramming into this time. Yes. And part of my vision is I know some brilliant people that I wanted to put in front of the community, and we're limited on time. So we are going to be doing a lot of what I'm calling KISS, keep it short and strategic conversations. And so I do have an example. So y'all are the first ones that get to see this. Jason Avery recorded a video for me. So I'm going to share it. This just gives you an idea. Now, this is short. Most of our conversations are going to be 3, 5, 6 minutes versus 90 seconds. But this is kind of what we're going to be doing, and a little bonus for you being here. So we are going to listen to Jason a little bit right now without him having to unmute. The last thing that you want to have happen after you've wooed a prospect to become a client is to have them facing buyer's remorse. Oh my. Luckily, Jason Avery is here to tell us a little bit about how we can avoid that buyer's remorse by knowing the ups and downs of the customer roller coaster. Jason Avery is the founder and owner of Avery Construction, a state-certified general contractor specializing in custom kitchen and bathroom remodeling in the greater Tampa Bay area. He also owns Constructing Success, Inc., where he coaches contractors and tradespeople to have successful businesses. And he's got a few other businesses as a successful serial entrepreneur.
And I'm going to share a tip with you today about client management, just relationship management overall, whether it's a client or a referral partner, even dealing with the people that are close to us in our lives. There's a timeline to our relationship. Some cases it may be shorter, some cases it may be longer as we interact, especially with clients. If you're an AC technician, maybe your install is quick, it's one day in and out. But is your relationship over when the project's over, or do you maintain a relationship with that client over time so that they're going to put the next air conditioner or refer you to their friends as life moves on? But what about a financial planner? They have to have a relationship for a long period of time. In my world, in contracting, average relationship lasts about 3 months. And there's
highs and lows to the emotional experience that the client has during that time. Yay, it's exciting to start a job. And then, oh my goodness, husbands and wives don't agree about how much money we're going to spend and what all the colors are going to be and where we're going to put everything. So the job starts, yay, it's exciting. And then we tear your house apart. Highs and lows, things that are potential hazards to your relationship with somebody that you might need to identify and then have a plan, a strategy on how you're going to be 2 moves ahead, almost like you're playing chess. You need to know what might disturb that client so you can catch them as they're falling. And one small example, if I'm installing cabinets today, I'm going to put a shim behind the cabinet to make it hang level. That's a good thing. But at the end of the cabinet's run, you're going to see a gap. If that is just left there for the client to discover when they come home from work, panic ensues. Oh my gosh, why would they leave it that way? Taking time to put a little piece of tape with a note that says install trim here answers the question in advance, alleviates the panic, customer gets a good night's sleep, you don't get a crazy phone call, and the relationship moves on more soundly. That's just one little tip. There's much more to it. You can learn more about it in my book, Constructing Success, the Blueprint for Referral-Based Business. It's available on Amazon or Kindle, and I look forward to talking to you at the More Abundant Entrepreneur Summit.
So thank you so much, Jason, for sharing. I'm curious to hear from y'all. What's going on in your head as you're thinking about what is the journey that my customers are taking? What does their path look like? And I'd love to have you put in the chat, like, what is this stimulating for you? Or if you have something that you're like, oh my gosh, I really want to share, unmute and share with us. How does this strike you? How are you going to utilize it? Because I'm thinking about, part of what I like to do, especially when people enroll an event, it's like, okay, let me send a welcome email and let me send the calendar invite. And I'm hosting a pre-summit event just to try and help people have all that they want and know and need so they can get the most out of the summit. So how do you apply this to your business, your life? And heck, oh my gosh, now I'm sitting here thinking, forget about the customer roller coaster. I need my husband to watch this video because, man, like sometimes he's probably working on something. And if it was just like, I'm coming back to this soon, then I'd be like, why did you, not leave it undone? I don't know. Anybody else have some thoughts? What's going through your head with the customer roller coaster?
I think what you said about keeping in contact with your customers, like checking in with them, is really important, because I have customers sometimes that they want to work with me and then they wait like a month or two because stuff happens. And so I need to remind them, like, hey, how are you doing? I'm looking forward to working with you again. Do you have any questions? So just keeping me top of mind in their head.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. So begin to think about, okay, how am I taking care of my customers? Am I keeping them happy? Because the last thing we want is them to get unhappy and then be like, no, I don't want to do it, or no, I don't want to use them again. There have been some people that I use that the end product I enjoyed, but the process of doing it isn't worth it. And so then you're like, no, I'm good. I'm done. So thank you, Jason, for sharing that little pre-tip. You want to add something?
Yeah, just yesterday. And so as part of my follow-up process in the end, after a project's complete, people are kind of tired of contractors and strangers showing up every day. Everything tends to cost too much and take too long. So, that's an uncomfortable way to leave a client. So I wait a few weeks and then I go back and I bring them an unexpected gift. And then I congratulate them on how wonderful everything looks, because they're the ones that picked all the colors. They get the credit for it. I just build the stuff. And I just did this yesterday. Bumped into one of my customers at the golf course, gave him the gift I'd had riding around in my truck with me for a little too long. And then later that afternoon, his wife called me back and said, oh, by the way, now we're getting ready to do the master bathroom, and I want you to come out and quote me a bunch more cabinets. So again, just keeping that relationship alive.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so very much, Jason, for being here with us and for sharing. Speaking of being here with us, y'all, I'm going to say goodbye to our Facebook audience for those of you watching, and we'll say goodbye to y'all, and then we're going to continue on as we talk about your vision. So how many of y'all have a vision, whether it's written vision or the vision board? How many of you have something like that? Okay. So I'm bringing in Tom Fleming. We got a quick little video from him to talk about his human model of motivation. And I think there's some power in how we're going to be able to utilize this.
I wanted to share with you Tom Fleming's theory of human motivation. If you take a peek at this visual, you'll see the model. And each one of us, hopefully, looks up towards a vision of what we want our lives to be, a vision of what we want our businesses to be, a vision of what we're looking to create for ourselves, our families, our community. Now, a lot of times I do work with people in terms of crafting their vision because they know that without a vision, any path will do. But as we all look up towards our vision, there's always perceived obstacles that get in our way. An investment of time to accomplish our vision, an investment of money to accomplish our vision, overcoming technology challenges, I know is a part of my challenge with respect to accomplishing my vision. The way this model works is if your perceived obstacles are so high that you can't see the possibility of your vision, well, that makes us feel hopeless, depressed, frustrated. But if we see the possibility of the accomplishment of our vision, because our perceived obstacles are lower, we feel hopeful, we feel inspired, we feel excited, if you will. So really, as I work with people in my network, I try to do everything I can to help them increase the size of their vision and decrease the size of their perceived obstacles, because that leaves people feeling inspired, hopeful, excited, and ready to take on the world, if you will.
So let's use the unmute button here. What do you have as part of your vision? Is it a new franchise? Is it write the book? Is it bring on a salesperson or an assistant? Unmute and share what's one little piece. And if you're like, there's noisy background, you can put it in the chat. Lorena, what's one component of your vision?
In one of my companies, it's actually 1 million happy users with happy stakeholders for the next 3 years. That's our vision for the next 3 years at Lovis. So this is what we're doing.
Love it. Love it. Excellent. Who else? You're like, oh, crap. You want us to actually think about something?
One of my visions is I do mostly in-person organizing, but I want to also do virtual organizing with people.
I love it. Love it. And then you can expand the geography for that. Who else? What's on your to-do list? What's part of your vision? Maybe I need to think about that. So we have this vision. Go ahead, Jackie.
Oh, I was just going to say, short-term vision is to get a handle on last year's travel industry result outcome, and then set that for projections for next year.
Okay, gotcha. Love it, love it. So we have these visions of growing the company, expanding virtually, getting a little bit of research for last year. And I get you on the research, Jackie. Let me figure out. Right now I am studying the cemetery, crematorium, and funeral industry. And so I've got like all kinds of magazines to read. And if you're like, what the heck, Tiffany? I'm speaking for their national association in January. So I just want to learn as much about them as possible. So we all have these kind of goals, some of them learning, some of them action. Though obstacles get in our way. What kind of obstacles are getting us in our way of our goal? This should be easy. Even if you didn't tell us your goal or what you want, you can unmute and say, what are some of those obstacles?
Time constraint.
Time constraints, right. And what kind of things put time constraints?
You have to choose what you
Okay,
do.
so we
or
have
you
to prioritize. Like,
Yeah.
where am I going to spend my time? Does this make it to the top of the list? Love it. Anybody, money's an issue?
Of course.
Technology is an issue? How about mind trash? And what I mean by that is what's going on in your head that's keeping you from doing it. What are you telling yourself? How about my dogs or my husband? Are they obstacles to getting some stuff done? Now, so I bring this one out because just because it's an obstacle doesn't mean that it's a bad obstacle, because I can get a lot more work done. And one day, some of you have heard me tell the story of how I wrote a book in 10 days. I got rid of almost all my obstacles, but that is not something I could manage full or long term. 10 days I could do. Much longer than that, I think I probably would have gone crazy or driven my husband crazy, one of the two. But, you know, it's what's the priority? How do we make it happen? And just realizing where it fits into your goals. So I love this conversation that Tom's used of, you know, how do I either raise my vision or lower the obstacles? And how I wanted this to kind of play in, why I brought this into the pre-summit conversation is either A, do I need to raise my vision? And as we're taking a look at, for example, Conway's conversation of, so what do you want? Do we need to raise that vision up? Or maybe obstacles or time constraints, and Ariel and Steve and Gina and Terry are going to tell us how to, you know, lower the obstacles by using technology to help us out. And so as we go through this program, you want to think about, okay, what's my vision? What are the obstacles? And keep that in mind and see what you can pick up to help you out. Cool. Love it. Love it. All right. Yeah, Beth, I love this. You know, I want to go sit in the coffee shop and do writing and planning once a week. That's such a great way, because then you don't have the distractions, because those can definitely be obstacles. And how many of you have somebody at home that doesn't always get that just because you're at home doesn't mean that you're not working? I know sometimes, like, kids, dogs do not understand, hey, I'm on a Zoom, leave me alone, right? They don't understand quite as much. So sometimes getting away can be nice. All right. So that's a little bit of a conversation around your vision and staying motivated. I want to switch gear now and talk about what to say during speed networking. So we've all done speed networking, and it varies. And sometimes it's brilliant and sometimes it's ugh. How many of us is like, oh my gosh, this person is just hardcore selling to me? That is not.
Especially if people is not from BNI.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Though sometimes I get the BNI people that are selling to me too, but usually it's a better curve that way, for sure. So our intention, and we will remind everybody when we're there on Friday of next week, is don't sell. That's not the intention. To me, when I go networking, I want to book a meeting from a meeting. So I want to be sharing with people about me so I can see, you know, are they attracted to that? You're going to have about a minute or so each to share. My 3 favorite topics to talk about in a speed networking introduction, and then I'll come to you next, Ariel. Now, you can't put all 3 in as 1 minute. You had 3 minutes maybe, but so pick one of the 3. So my 3 in no particular order. Number 1 is share success stories. And if you've got a minute, I'm not saying share 6 success stories. Maybe share 1 success story. Really hone in on a great example, because you can wrap a lot into your success stories. You can talk about the product or service they use, the type of client they were, how they came to you, and what was their results. And so you can wrap quite a bit into that. So success stories is option number 1. Option number 2 that I recommend for your speed networking conversation is around the benefits that you create for your clients. We don't need to know all the features. We don't need to know all the details. You know, I could say, hey, let me tell you about Ascentive's Ignite Your Business program. This program was developed in 1995. It's 10 modules, 2.5 hours. And y'all are like, all right, y'all like, some of you are shaking your head. Some of you are just like, I can't believe she's doing this. Versus, hey, this program helps entrepreneurs make 10 to 60 grand more within their first year. most people pay it off before they're even done. They're creating a steady flow of referrals into their business that they can predict. Much better when it's about the benefits than when it is about all the blah details. Technical term, blah details there. Don't bore us. And then the third thing that I like to use when it comes to speed networking is my why. Share with us why you do what you do. What lights you up? Why are you passionate about helping people? And so typically those are my top 3 that I recommend to share. Hey, benefits, success story, or your why, which we like to call your emotionally charged connection. So those would be what I would be kind of considering. And I always like to have what Toastmasters calls a hip pocket speech. I am ready on the fly at any point in time to do any of those introductions. You want a minute? Cool. You want 2 minutes? Cool. You want 5 minutes? Whatever you want, I can do it. 3 days, that's going to take a little bit longer, but I can do that too. You usually don't need that much for speed networking, but just a minute or 2. So that's kind of my suggestions. Ariel?
I used to have some tips in order to receive references from a networking. First of all, if I want a reference from you, Tiffany, I must give you a reference to you, because if I give you a reference, you will feel, oh, this guy, he helped me, he provided, let's try to help him. So what I am focusing when I do speed networking is not in what I am going to receive, but is in what I can give. And first of all, if possible, if I know what chapter I am going to meet, I give a look in the web page of that chapter in the BNA site and look who are the people that I would like to connect to. And I have an Excel, for example, and I take notes. These guys, because of this, because of this, because of this. And then when I am in the meeting, I am going to tell you something that is going to be against myself if we meet all together in a speed networking. So don't use it against me. But I try to be the last one to talk, because I can hear everybody. And once I hear all of you in this room, then I will take from my back the best 1 minute I want for one specifically of you. For example, Lorena, I know you well, so I am going to use you as an example. But if I hear from you that you sell insurance in Mexico, and I want a connection from that, my minute will be using you as an example or your profession as an example. And I will end saying, hey, Lorena, you may be a good reference or connection for me. Let's have a one-to-one. And so what I try to take from networking is a one-to-one. And also, I try to record everything that happens, take print screens of all of you. I used to put my phone number here.
You can rename yourself after.
Like this. So
yeah.
I propose this. So if I got a print screen, I have all of you to contact you during the meeting. And if I got a connection during the meeting before it ends, I write you a WhatsApp and make the connection and try to appoint a one-to-one.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing your tips. Yeah. My end goal is, who do I want to book that meeting with? Who do I want to schedule that appointment with? I don't want to walk into, there's 100 potential people at the summit. Am I going to meet with them all? We don't have time for that. We want to find the right folks. So give some consideration to what you want to share during your speed networking. And thanks for a couple extra tips there, Ariel. All right, let's see what's next on our agenda. Oh, now it's time for Q&A. So I haven't seen any Qs in the chat box or in the Q&A box, but do you have any specific questions that I can answer for you about the summit? And I'll come back to that again after we go through Zoom tips. So if you think of one now, great. If it comes to you in like 5 minutes, that's okay too. Just make sure you write it down. What questions can I answer for you about the summit? Lorena, you're muted. Sorry.
No, you were very straightforward.
Okay.
Tiffany. I think, yes, just very clear.
Brilliant. Okay. Jackie, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we're able to, if we're in BNI, we're able to use your presentations as part of continuing education.
Okay, so I do know that the incentive section, so that 90 minutes, 100%, well, let me rephrase that. If your region, so it does vary region to region. Dr. Meisner created incentive just as he created BNI. I've asked Ivan and he says, yes, in his mind, incentive stuff counts as CEUs. I always say defer to your regional managing director if you have questions about that, just to verify, but he said it is. So that 90 minutes, yes, for sure. The rest of the stuff is kind of outside the scope of BNI, but that 90-minute incentive section, I would say you should be fine to count that as CEUs. Yes, cool. Keep thinking in case you have other questions, but I'm going to move to tips for Zooming all day. Oh my gosh. Do you have any tips for Zooming all day? All right, so we're gonna share, because I'm gonna probably turn this part of it into like a transcript and share. Here are all of our tips for Zooming all day. I'm gonna start with get a good night's sleep. Like, you don't want to be super tired the night before. Get a good night's sleep. That will help you as you come to it. What are our other tips? Unmute yourself. Let's share some. Jennifer, I had a feeling you might have a few of them.
Yeah, I have a lot of tips. Definitely get enough protein throughout the day. That's really important. So having enough protein and non-starchy veggies. So you might want to kind of prep yourself the day before to have some snacks and meals right at the ready, or really close by to warm up, whatever it is. But stay away from the processed foods, the heavy carbs that aren't so healthy. And then just small, because you're sitting for so long. No big meals, just have small, tiny meals throughout the day. And that's really helpful, but definitely enough protein. Water, make sure you've got, it's all day long, you guys. So you should be having at least like 8-ounce glasses during our time together. Never mind the rest, but have it ready, whatever format, even if you're infusing it with some fun fruits or raspberries or whatever it is. And then getting up and stretching, like in my office here, I've got a wall I can stretch up against. I can, do some jumping jacks and things like that and not be on camera. Do whatever you have to do to kind of like just pump a little bit. You're pumping your lymphatic system. So it's like jumping jacks is the first thing that come to mind. It's really good and healthy for you to kind of wake up a little bit. But those are a few things, but definitely getting some movement, eating well, and taking some breaths in between. If you get a little overwhelmed because of the information you hear, it's okay to be like, all right, what's the one thing I took away from that? The one thing I want to implement. I'm a huge fan of picking one thing after each section as a takeaway that I really want to implement. And at the end of the day, I decide which of all of those I'm going to work on first.
Love it. Love it. Excellent. Thank you.
Yep.
Lorena?
Actually, stretching or taking some of the calls standing up. So it's actually you because the attention span is so short now and we're zoomed out after a pandemic. But if you stretch, like Jennifer said, it's like the water, small snacks, everything healthy, eat fruit, something like that, help you just get by during the day. And then you can have your lovely supper after. With your glass of wine if you want. But now at the moment, I think it's all the fluids, the liquids, the protein. If you can't sleep the day before, do it. But what I do is I stretch. So when we have the 10 minutes, I actually stand up and just like this, like airplane exercises. And those help so much. And those help your body to start moving. And the other one I do because I do a lot of Zoom meetings because I travel between London and Mexico. So for me, it's like every day, and my calendar looks like Lego, blocks, different colors. I give the 10-minute between each meeting. But if you need to work something during the day, because emergencies come up, and do that, just put yourself away, like as if you were away from the office. So just take the phone a little bit out, or the email, or everything, so you can focus on this and get the best out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you put that email on auto respond? I'm out of the office today. Can you put the phone on do not disturb? Can you tell the kids, hey, like maybe send them to grandma's house or to the park or
Just
something?
one day.
Yeah. Yeah. How do we eliminate the distractions? So I love that. Definitely.
Also, I don't know if it's correct or not. Maybe you know better, but for me, it helps a lot. My glasses are not for reading; they're for blue light. So it protects my eyes, and I'm not tired because I have any. I mean, I see perfectly all the time. So it's just like, but I need to protect my eyes. So I believe that.
Excellent. Love it.
Oh,
Anybody else?
Jean-François said something.
Oh,
that's nice.
Yeah, the 20-20-20 rule. So yeah, the concept very simple. Every 20 minutes, look up from your screen and focus on an item approximately 20 feet away from you for at least 20 seconds. So yeah.
We may have to kind of put that in like, hey, it is time for our 20-second. Look at something. I'll have to put a timer because after 5 seconds, I'm going to be like, are we done yet? Ariel.
Usually after 12 hours of Zoom meetings, I try to go to sleep.
So plan on crashing right afterwards, right, y'all?
No. What I am planning is not to have so many meetings all together.
Gotcha. Love it.
I am choosing.
So amazing tips. I'll give you a last call. I definitely recommend not only the foods, I love the food tips, Jennifer, and also creating in advance. I'm big on mason jars. When I used to travel a lot, I would have like, you could go to my fridge and I've got every size. I shouldn't say every size. I have a lot of different mason jars, but I'd have like the little ones with something and the bigger ones. And so I would pack my cooler when I was going out on the road, and not as much now that I'm here, but I'm like on days like this when I'm gonna have, especially for me, because I'm doing it the whole time. So I'm like smoothies and what can I get that doesn't even need like quick calorie intake without doing much, because I'm going to be on screen most of the time. Y'all can turn your screen off and eat, just to have that ready to go. Also, I encourage you to be comfy and professional. So wear comfortable clothes that are professional. And we will be having a worksheet, a workbook for the summit. It is at the graphic designers. Hopefully I'll have it in the next day or two. So we'll definitely have it for next week so people can easily take notes. So those were all my tips on Zooming all day. Any other tips that y'all have you want to share that you thought of? So that just leaves us to, is there anything else? Any other questions, comments, concerns? So the summit is happening. Yes, we are still accepting people. We're almost at 100, and my goal is that we get to 120, 130, 150 would be brilliant. 200 would be like, I would be super happy. I'd say I'd dance on the table, but it's on Zoom. You wouldn't be able to see, so no big deal. But we want more and more people, because what I found is if we learn in community with the people around us, we keep that information alive much longer. Because if we're all like, okay, we were here and Beth talked to us about getting rid of this stuff. And so I can be talking to the people that I know, what are you getting rid of and by when? And then we can check in and say, did you do it? How are you doing? You know, and so we can take each person and talk about how do we implement and keep it alive longer. So y'all are welcome to continue to invite people to join us. And that is the end of the pre-summit event. In the next day or so, I will be taking all of this and disseminating it. We'll cut it into shorter videos just so it's easy for consumption. If you have any other questions, y'all have my email address, because you're getting emails all over the place from me about the summit. I will hang around in case there's anything that you wanted to ask without being on camera or without everybody else around. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you for some or all of the summit happening next Friday, December 8th. Happy networking, y'all.